Controversial influencer Andrew Tate has been banned from Facebook and Instagram.
They can't cancel me. They've tried, but they can't. They've failed to stop me. They've emptied their clip and I'm still alive. The bullets have bounced off.
Most people that make a lot of money hide away. You don't hide away.
I've had a hard life. Even my day-to-day reality would be too stressful for 99.9% of people on the planet. How many people out there have such ridiculous sums of money? None of these people are getting these things by following the path the system is trying to make me follow. Most people who follow the path work, consume, die. What do you want? I was the most Googled man on the planet. More than Donald Trump, more than Joe Biden, more than Putin at the start of the war. I was that Googled. No matter what they do or what law they make, there's gonna be people who work harder than you. So if you're gonna be a lazy dummy watching Love Island and not try and think and use your brain, guess what? You're gonna stay fucking broke.
Do you think that your attitude towards women, boom in her face, is a little bit insulting towards women?
You grip her up by the neck.
Andrew Tate, thanks so much for your time.
Glad to be here, bro.
Appreciate it, man. What's life? What are you doing at the moment?
I'm here, there, and everywhere. 5 flights a week, you know, just trying to stay above water and fight the matrix. I'm enjoying this new episode. It's been quite an interesting battle with the whole mass cancellation thing and moving over to other platforms and that kind of thing. And I've been massively successful on those. So I'm just focusing on that for now.
And it's interesting because you've clearly made a lot of money.
Yep.
And most people that make a lot of money hide away.
Of course.
They make a load of money, they hide away. You don't hide away.
No, I do the absolute opposite.
Yeah, and as a result of that, you know, you've had a lot of backlash and the media have had a lot to say about you. But what's the reason? What is it that drives you to keep doing all these videos and putting out this content? Because you don't have to.
That's a good question. It's a really good question. And the reason people hide is because obviously there's a safety element that comes with having mass wealth and people know, you have all these nice things and where you are and differing opinions. And there's certainly a disadvantage to it. But I feel like I'm in a unique position. I'm in a position where I can tell the truth on a lot of subjects that I don't think a lot of people can. The reason I became so widely known in the world, I don't think it was a magic spell. I think I was saying things that people understood and agreed with. Obviously, there was a percentage of the population that disagreed, but a whole huge contingent of the population agreed with me. And I'm in a fortunate situation where I can't really lose my job. I can't be canceled. They've tried that, and here I am. I'm still all over every single social media platform. So I think I have a duty to God to some degree to tell the truth. And I also believe that my children's children will look back at this period in history and they will be unhappy that not enough people stood up and told the exact truth, that too many people sat there and said, okay, well, I know this subject is bullshit, but I'm scared for my job, I'm scared of the HR department, I'm scared of getting canceled, I'm scared of the social media companies, I'm scared of whatever, so I'm just gonna sit and be quiet. And if you look throughout history, there's huge proportions of the population who were good people who decided to be quiet because they were afraid, and terrible things happened. So I think that I have a duty to God to run my mouth. So here I am.
What do you think your main message is? What's the main thing that you want to get across to the world?
My main message is to resist the slave mind. I say this all the time. To understand that every single thing you're being told has an agenda behind it, or you wouldn't be told it otherwise. To examine every strongly held belief you have and try and identify where it comes from and why you have it. I sit and argue with people, I discuss things with people, and they so fervently believe a point. And I say, why do you believe that so much? Like, do you have personal experience? No, but I saw the news. Why do you believe? The news told you X, and now you are desperate. You will sit here for hours arguing that point. A lot of people are completely empty vessels, ready to be programmed. And I try and tell people, listen, to just stop for a second and understand that the things they're telling you to believe are not necessarily for your benefit. The people who make the rules don't make the rules for the benefit of everybody. They make the rules for the benefit of the people who make the rules.
Yeah.
That's the game. So telling people to resist a slave mind and just be critical thinkers, keep their brain open, pay attention to things, be perspicacious, that's the general theme. And it doesn't matter whether you're left, right, liberal, man, woman, etc. It's just think for yourself. That's the general message.
Talk to me about the Matrix. When you say the Matrix are out to get you and all this stuff, who is the Matrix?
Have you seen the movie The Matrix?
I actually haven't.
You've never seen the movie?
No, I haven't.
Oh, bro, you got to watch it.
I imagine it's kind of like the Truman Show or...
Kinda. So basically in the Matrix, there's an artificial reality, a computer generated reality, and people are being harvested for their body heat in a real world, and their minds are being occupied by this computer generated reality. And the basic premise of the show is that their body is being used for what is important, and they just distract their mind so that their body can stay alive long enough to give the machines what they want. And I really, truly believe that's a perfect analogy for the world today. We live in a world where people are being extracted for their value, their physical value, whether you're digging holes or carrying garbage or whatever. And your mind is constantly distracted by garbage. It's distracted by TV shows and concerts and clown world. I call it clown world because it's a never-ending circus. All this garbage they distract you with. First it's COVID, and then Putin cures COVID the day he invades and COVID's cured. And it's all just a big scam from head to toe. And the reason I call it the Matrix is because a false reality is being projected onto humanity, and they do that by controlling narratives. If they allowed people to have critical and open conversations about, let's say, COVID, at the height of the pandemic, it never would have lasted 3 years. But the reason, because they censor and delete one entire side of the argument, then you're only left with their version of reality, and they're projecting a reality. And they do that with nearly every subject. There are so many subjects you can't have an open discussion on. And if they only control, if they delete all of one side and only keep one side there, then that's a false paradigm, it's a false reality. And that's what they're doing. And they're convincing people to act in certain ways and do certain things which are not necessarily in their best interest or necessarily true. We live in a world where I don't think the average person realizes how much they are lied to. From the way money works is a lie, financial system is a lie, judicial system is a lie, medical health care is a lie. It's all a lie. It's all a scam. Just go to work, pay your taxes. And that's why I call it the Matrix.
So what would you say the average person that's maybe, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm being controlled, maybe this isn't true, maybe that there's an agenda behind the mainstream media and the news and the government?
Maybe. Maybe. I mean, there is. I mean, this is the thing. You made a good point, because sometimes people say to me, well, maybe there is an agenda. What do you mean maybe? How can there maybe be an agenda behind the mainstream news? You're in charge of the world. You own the news. Are you going to tell the truth? If you had a bunch of slaves and a bunch of suckers working their asses off for pennies, are you going to tell them the truth? Would you?
I mean, I can't possibly imagine that situation.
Why the fuck would you tell them the truth? The truth? How does the truth benefit?
So what's their benefit then? They own everything. They own the newspapers, the media. What is the agenda of the Matrix?
The agenda is just narrative control.
Right.
The agenda is narrative control, and as long as they control a narrative, they can control the populace to do whatever they need them to do. It doesn't matter if they convince you to be afraid of the common cold and stay in your house and destroy your own business and not see your own fucking grandmother for 2 years. It doesn't matter if they convince you that the planet's setting on fire and global warming is real, and now for some reason if they tax you, it'll fix it. It doesn't matter what it is. They create a narrative. They prevent people from talking the counter to that narrative. They now own reality. You change all the Google search results. Everything online says a certain thing must be true. And then you weaponize it for your own benefit, whether it's higher tax rates or more control over our movement or giving people's freedoms away, etc. The world used to be based on freedom, especially in the Western world. During communism, etc., the Western world used to stand up and say, the difference between us and the communists is that we're free. You live in this country, it's a free country. It's a free country. But that's not the truth anymore. So now that everyone's starting to slowly understand it's not a free country, you have to replace the freedom with something else. And the only thing that humanity will accept in return for freedom is safety. So they say, listen, you're no longer free. You can no longer say what you want to say or go where you want to go or do what you want to do. You can't go outside for this 3 years. You can't do that. You can't drive that car because of fucking the polar ice caps, whatever it is. But don't worry, it's for your safety. We're going to keep you safe. And that's what it is. It's all a big fucking scam. It's a lie. The people in charge of the world don't give a shit about our safety. If something bad happened to you, heaven forbid, let's say me. Let's say I got a terrible disease. Let's say I got cancer and I went to the NHS. I'd be waiting fucking months to get anything done. But then they want to text me 4 times a day, begging me to take an injection. And that's for my own good. It's bullshit. It's a scam. It's a fucking scam. Head to toe, all of it's a scam. It's a lie.
One of the first videos I saw of yours was about university.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting to me.
Another scam.
Well, interesting, yeah. I mean, I wasn't very good at school, and when I was at school, I feel like at school, certainly my experience is they push you down one of 2 directions. It's either go on to be academic, go to university, or if you're a bit of a dum-dum, then learn a trade, go to college, learn to be a builder. And for me, I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna have to go down the second route. Yeah. And when I was 16 and I was doing a bit of Googling, I came across some, interesting books like Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad. And it was just crazy to me because I'm 16 and I'm thinking there's this whole other world about investments and business and entrepreneurship, which is completely not taught at school.
Completely, because that's not, and it's interesting you say that because I have this saying and nobody seems to understand it. I say money's not real. And people say, what do you mean money's not real? Money's not real? It's not real. Money's not real. It's numbers on the screen. It's not a real thing. And once you start putting systems in place that generate huge sums of money, and once you get to the point where money basically has no value, like I do, I can go buy a Ferrari today and my bank balance will look basically the same. It doesn't change anything. So money isn't real. It's just numbers. It's all fucking invented. It's printed from the sky. It's garbage. You just have to find a way to make people understand your value. And yeah, it can just appear from absolutely nowhere. And I went from completely broke to hundreds of millions of dollars. And I know what you're saying in regards to this other world, because there is a subsect to humanity. It's kind of strange. When I was broke, when I was on a council estate in Luton, I thought everyone was poor. And now that I have money, it kind of feels like everyone's rich. I go to buy a plane and they're like, no, I'm sold out. I thought you fucking sold out of planes? I go to buy a Bugatti and they're like, sold out. I'm like, all the shit's
Who are these people?
Yeah, everyone's bought everything. Like,
yeah.
And it's crazy how many people out there have such ridiculous sums of money, truly ridiculous sums of money. There are so many rich people in the world, and it's kind of like your reality is based on, it's the Matrix, right? If you're broke, everyone's broke. If you're rich, everyone's rich. And a lot of people have this separation. I was lucky to live in both worlds, but a lot of people have this separation.
Yeah.
So.
And most people in that rich world are quiet about it.
Yeah.
Maybe because, have you noticed as well with the media, in every movie, the jerk is always a rich guy. You know, Titanic, Jack's poor, but the narrative, I don't know if it's the same, you grew up in America, right?
Well, you have to, but you have to protect yourself. You have to protect yourself from, obviously, crime. You have to protect yourself from governments. You have to protect yourself from backlash. A lot of people do not see the risk reward of being so loud and so vocal.
Yeah.
I do, in my particular circumstance. But yeah, it'd be easier to be quiet about certain things.
The only thing more annoying to British public about someone being rich is them being rich and vocal about it.
And that's and I understand why, but I mean, I've built absolutely all of it myself. I started, like I said, from a council estate in Luton. I did all of it myself. And it's interesting you said about discovering that other world, because I always knew the same thing. When I was going to college, you're talking about the two routes. There was A-levels and B-Tech. They used to call it,
college or
college, B-Tech, like the trades, or there was A-level to go to university. So I did a separate path to you. I was going to the A-levels to go university, and I was walking to college with a couple of my friends, and a Ferrari drove past. And I said, bro, you see that? And he goes, yeah, what about it? I said, doesn't that piss you off? I must have been about 16. He goes, why? So this dude has 400 G's for a car, 400 grand. I'm walking 4 miles to college because my mom hasn't got any car. He has 400 grand. Do you think he works a job? Do you think he's fucking behind a counter somewhere? He knows something about the world that I don't know.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, he's rich. I'm like, yeah, I know. I didn't say he wasn't rich, dummy. I'm saying he knows something about the world I don't know. And I was intrigued, and it angered me. I couldn't sleep for weeks. I was pissed off. Every time I saw somebody with genuine money, I understood that everything I was being told and taught and they were trying to make me believe just simply wasn't true. I was like, this is bullshit. None of these people are getting these things by following the path that the system is trying to make me follow. Yeah. Nobody, and everybody intrinsically knows this. If you go to if you're at a BP, you're at a petrol station, and I pull up in my Lamborghini, nobody goes, wow, he went to school. Yeah. He studied hard. Right. Do they fuck? They're like, drug dealer, gangster. And they do that because they know that the easiest way to amass wealth is to break the rules, because the rules are not designed to allow most people to make money. You can make money within the rules, of course you can, but most people don't. Most people who follow the path work, consume, die. That's it.
Yeah.
So I always knew the same thing as you, and I knew there had to be another way. I knew that just working for money was a paradigm that wasn't true. And then you understand making your money work for you, and you understand delinking your time from money. Yeah. You start learning to understand these things, but eventually you build a system, and you build an ecosystem like me. I have 60 or 70 people work for me all around the world, and things just happen and money just kind of appears as long as everything's well organized.
Do you think that it's kind of becoming more well known though, entrepreneurship and how to get into business now than it was say 10, 20 years ago?
It's certainly easier to make money now than ever before.
I think so.
Oh, it's easier than ever before to make money. I meet so many fucking 17-year-olds, 19-year-olds, kids with an e-com store or some crypto garbage, or to make quick, fast money now is almost easier than it's ever been. Now, that has advantages and disadvantages. I was talking to a young guy the other day, and he was 22, I think, and he caught a crypto pump. He made like $4 million in the last bull run, and now all the coins have gone down, whatever. He sold some. He has like $1.5 million. He's like, oh yeah, so I'm waiting for the next pump. I was like, bro, the problem with you is you've now been ruined for life, because you're 22, you made easy money, and you think that you don't have to ever do any serious work. You also have no skill. Problem is with the crypto pump, it doesn't teach you anything. He didn't learn sales, marketing,
Yeah.
staff management,
Yeah.
stress tolerance.
You need that.
Nothing. He doesn't know how to do anything.
Yeah.
So he's just sitting there just gambling on shit coins, waiting for the next one to pump. And he's 22, and his ass is never going to want to get a real job, and he doesn't have any skills. So I think he's in a lot of trouble, truthfully. And I made this clear to him. So it can be a detrimental thing. It can be a bad thing. But in terms of making money, it's certainly easier than it's ever been because we live in a global marketplace now. You can reach the world, and all you have to do is have a message worth making people listen to. The hard part about making money today is that we live in an attention economy. You have to garner attention from people. It's difficult, right? Because anyone can start a YouTube channel, but it's getting the views that's hard, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be talented enough and skillful enough to garner attention. But if you can garner attention, then you can make money. I think that's the new modern way to view the world. It's an attention economy. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're getting attention, you'll make money from it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happening en masse.
Just as well, because when I first started getting interested in investments and stuff, I'd start going on courses,
Yep.
getting mentors. Because if you want to be good at anything, you need a coach.
Yep.
If you want to be, you're a world champion kickboxer.
Yeah.
I'm sure it would have been impossible if you hadn't have paid for a coach.
Absolutely.
Right. And all my friends at the time were saying to me, "Oh, that's so risky.
Yeah.
What are you doing?" And I'm thinking, you're going to uni to study drama. For 4 years, and I'm learning about property and investments, and you think what I'm doing is risky.
Yeah, investing in yourself, especially learning from somebody who is already doing what you want to do, is not risky. And you're right. The people who believe that's risky are just stuck deep inside the matrix. Because you're right, they're going to pay 60, 70,000 pounds for a degree from university, which is one, completely useless. And secondly, it's always kind of been amazing to me. You talked about kickboxing. If I want to go learn kickboxing, I expect my coach to be able to fight. If I want to go learn piano, I want to see my piano teacher play piano.
Yeah.
But people will go to university and learn business from a dude who's never had a business, who's broke. It's just like, it's clown world. It's stupid. Yeah. Like, education's becoming decentralized, which is actually one of my products, so I'm going to talk about it. But education is becoming decentralized now with the internet. And the smartest thing you can do is look at somebody's life and go, this guy is living or he's doing exactly what I want to do. I'll learn from him. Mm-hmm. That is the smartest thing you can do as opposed to just going to these traditional educational systems. Because the reason university is such a massive scam, and I said this a million times, is because it exists in an echo chamber. It doesn't exist in fair competition. The reason universities still manage to function is because they'll give children loans to go to these schools, but you're not allowed to use the loan for anything else. If I were to say to the average 18-year-old, here's 50 grand. You can either start your own business, you can buy crypto, you can buy mentorship from you, me, another millionaire online, you can fix your house up or your parents' house up, you can buy a nice car, or you can go get a degree. And you were to give them the 50 G's. How many people do you think would choose a degree?
None.
Nobody. Zero. So they link the loan to the degree. So the choices are either don't get the loan at all, or get the loan and go to school.
Yeah.
Which means that the universities don't exist in fair competition. There's no fair competition within the entire educational system.
Right.
As soon as there's fair competition, nobody would choose it because it's such a terrible choice.
Yeah.
It suffers from double inflation. It gets more expensive every year, and more degrees exist every year. So the value goes down, the price goes up year on year on year on year. It's a total waste of time.
Yeah.
But children are bored and they think, well, I don't get the money any other way, so I may as well take it. And that's why the whole educational system's a scam. I actually have my own university. I'm relaunching it. I'm changing the name, and that's going to be relaunching very shortly. But I have a university that teaches 18 modern wealth creation methods, and it's purely online. And we teach a different way to make money than perhaps the traditional system. And it's cheap. It's like $50, $60 a month. Mm. For me to get 100,000 students like I have now at $60 a month is not impressive. What's impressive is that I keep them. I'm giving more value than the $60 a month. They can go and spend that $60 in Nando's or buy some coffee or do anything else they want with it. But they choose to go to my school because I'm existing in a fair, competitive environment and I'm outperforming. A university can't do that. All these other universities can't do it because they're all a fucking scam.
Yeah, they're probably comparing it to university where you're literally paying 30 grand to learn from someone who's being paid 30 grand to get 30 grand.
It's all a scam, yeah. Whereas what we're doing is actually, teaching people. We have massive success stories. Obviously, we have a lot of people who are making a lot of money. We have all the reviews, everything on the website, cobratate.com. But the fact that people have a choice, they don't have to invest in my university. They can take that money and spend it on anything else on the planet, and they still see my university as worthwhile.
Yeah.
That's how I know it's a competitive product.
Surely you think there's a place for university there?
If you want to be an architect and you have to study architecture, if you want to be a lawyer and you have to study law, that's fine. If you decide I personally never knew what job I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. These people seem to be very passionate about a particular trade. I just wanted to have a lot of money. If you were to say, look, I'll pay you $1 million to dig a hole, I would have dug a hole.
Yeah.
I'll pay you $1 million to fly a plane, give me a joystick.
Yeah, but if someone wants to be a doctor, they want to be a lawyer, go to
university and do it.
Yeah, but know what you're doing it for. Don't go and study drama and end up a dramatic McDonald's worker 5 years later.
Yeah, or don't study something generic like business or something generic. And even though business is obviously a good thing to know, but it's generic and it's hard to apply. I mean, in my experience, like imagine if I didn't have all this money and I had to go get a job again, I'd get a sales job because I've always been a salesman. And I think that's a very important life skill to have, to be good at sales and to deal with the stress and have a commission-only environment. And I think these things are good. But I don't know if they even teach sales in university. Do they have any serious sales courses? I
hardly doubt it.
I'm saying this, it's all garbage. They don't teach anything important. They just teach anything. They teach things that are going to keep you inside the slave mind. And they want you to go to school and then go to college and then go to university and get in debt. And you have to be in debt so that now you have to work. And you're working and you're in debt. And then they want you to take on more debt if possible in the form of a mortgage, which a lot of people do, which we can talk about because I know you're the property guy.
Massive, yeah.
And then you're in debt now. And once you're in debt, you can't really quit your job and it's very difficult for you to leave the country. And now they can hold things over you. That's the goal. It's all about control mechanisms, and the system is very well designed to make sure that people are conditioned to obey. It's very hard for the average person to say no to anything. Unless you have millions and millions and millions of dollars, it's very difficult to even have an opinion on subjects. I have friends with normal jobs, and they say to me in private, yeah, man, bro, I wish I could talk at work. They can't say anything. HR will wreck them. You're not an opinion. You're not allowed to talk. It's just work, consume, die, shut up. Believe what you're told. That's how it is. It's clown world. It's slavery.
I think when it comes to the finances and what I've heard you say about money, I think you're pretty bang on.
Yeah.
I know you've been recently cancelled. Well, you cancelled. You're still everywhere on social media.
They can't cancel me.
You're still everywhere on social media.
They've tried, but they can't.
What do you think the reason was? I mean, I've seen some of the things that you've said that are controversial.
That's not why they canceled me. They attempted to cancel me because I became the most Googled man on the planet. And I had mass influence over the youth, especially males, 18 to 23, 24-year-old males.
Yeah.
And those are the backbone of the slave force. And we always have been and always will be. It doesn't matter if you look at modern times or ancient times. If you had to build an aqueduct or a road or raise an army, you'd go and find the 18 to 22, 23-year-old fighting age males. We're the most important demographic on the planet. We're the strongest. We have the most energy. We're the most capable of doing the most difficult tasks. And they try very hard to police that demographic. Specifically, the reason that they talk all this garbage about toxic masculinity and the reason that they purport in every single movie that men are getting beaten up by chicks and every single family movie on Netflix, the woman's the smart one and the dad's a bumbling idiot and all these different things is they're trying to reduce the masculine tendency to rebel to a degree because they want this subsect of the population ready to either go die in a ditch or go work for fucking nothing. And what they don't want, the last thing they want is this subsect of the population to think, because that's the subsect of a populace which causes a revolution. If millions of 18 to 25-year-old men stand in one place, that's a revolution. That's it. It's over. It's not the women marching. The women can march. That's fine. But when shit happens, men have to come along and deal with it. Police have to protect them. Women can march and have an opinion. That's great. But an actual revolution is going to be men, because eventually it's going to become violent. And they don't want large groups of men standing up and going, wait, 3 years you just took all our money, destroyed our businesses. Now the pound is falling. You're inflating us out of the market, the housing market. We don't stand a chance of ever having any kind of financial independence. You're destroying our energy sector to save Ukraine, money laundering. This is garbage. And if enough of them get in a big group in London, then something has to change. And they don't want anything to change. So they try and keep this population subdued. And I'm telling them to do the opposite. I'm telling them to think. And that's the last thing they want. So they decided, Andrew's telling the population, the subsect of the population that we're most fearful of, to think for themselves. So Andrew has to go. And they attempted to cancel me. They have failed. Now I have to make sure they don't try and suicide me. That's the next goal. Well, because what happens if you don't shut up, eventually that's what comes next. So for everyone watching at home, I would never kill myself. But it's interesting times we're living in, that's for sure.
How did it make you feel when you got removed off of all social media platforms? I mean, were you upset about it? Were you?
Top G, bro. I've been around. I've had a hard life.
Yeah.
I've had a hard life. I've had a difficult upbringing. I've had very difficult situations. Even my day-to-day reality would be too stressful for 99.9% of people on the planet. Losing Instagram accounts or not.
But you predicted it would happen as well.
I predicted. I've been talking about it for a long time. I said there's no way they're going to allow me to stay on these platforms. It's not in their best interest for me to stay on these platforms. It's not in their best interest for people who watch my products, watch my content and buy my products to sit there and go, I don't need anything else. This guy's telling the truth. I'm listening to him. I'm making more money than ever before. My life is better than it's ever been. Fuck school, fuck uni, fuck you, fuck the news, fuck you. I'm following Andrew. And that's why they wanted to try and get rid of me. It failed. I've moved over to Rumble now. I'm on rumble.com. And the stock price has blown up ever since I've moved over, and I've got 600,000 subs inside of 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. So
that's big on Rumble.
Yeah, bro, it's massive on Rumble. Like, no one talked about Rumble, right? So they've failed to stop me. They've emptied their clip, and I'm still here. I'm still alive. The bullets have bounced off. But that's the real reason they canceled me. I don't know if you know the story of Socrates. Socrates had to poison himself. He was arrested, and he was accused of corrupting the youth. That's why. He was tried for making the young military-aged men of Greece think for themselves. That's not allowed. You're not allowed. Since the dawn of human time, you're not allowed to do that. And I'm committing the cardinal sin. I'm saying to men, listen, they're trying to tell you X, and that's garbage. The truth is Y. And that's why they decided to leave.
What do you think is going to happen over the next few years with the cost of living crisis, which is not just in the UK, it's pretty much all over the world.
Yeah.
People are literally, the average salary is about 25, 30 grand a year. Everything's going up apart from salaries. How do you see the next few years panning out?
I'm going to say this now, and I'm someone from a council estate. I don't have a clue how the average person is still surviving. I don't get it. Like 25, 30 grand a year in the current world is such a tiny amount of money. It's man, it's about to be worse than ever before. It's going to be have-nots and have-yachts. It's always been that way.
Yeah.
But it's going to become worse and worse. As inflation gets out of control, as the price of assets soar, the rich are going to become richer and the poor are going to become poorer. I don't think that most people, I'm going to correct myself, I know that most people don't understand economics as a whole. They don't understand money as a whole, because if the people watching this, if they all understood how all this shit worked, there'd be a revolution tomorrow. So they don't understand any of it. But it's very difficult for a government to even pretend to give a shit about the average person to me, because I understand how all this works. So the government comes along and decides to give out free money. The average person in the middle or at the bottom goes, wait, free money, government cares about the poor person. No, they don't. Let's keep it very simple. Let's say they gave every person in the UK £1,000. They're either going to save that money, or they're going to spend that money, or they're going to, let's say, invest that money. If they spend that money, which is what 90% of them would do, it goes to corporations, making the corporations filthy rich. The stock price of Amazon during COVID went to the moon, because everyone's sitting at home bored, just buying stuff, right? So there's less corporations than there are people. So let's say you give everyone in the UK £1,000. A lot of that money goes to one guy, Jeff Bezos. The rich get richer, just like before. Let's say they invest it. Well, they're going to invest it in what? The stock market? Well, that increases the share price of companies. Who owns companies? Rich people. Let's say somehow 200 of these people are best friends and they're never going to argue, and they get together and they get £200,000 and they buy a house, for example. That's still going to raise the price of housing on that street. The house owners, the homeowners are going to get richer. The people who already own things, the asset owners, are always going to get richer. No matter what you do, the people who are poor are always going to get poorer, and the asset owners are always going to get richer.
Yeah.
And it's running away now to a point where the chance of buying a home on the average salary is near on impossible. I mean, you know some hacks, you know some things about it, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know how people are surviving on this money. Because I come from a council estate in Luton, that's fine. But now I'm living in a world where I can talk a bunch of rich people stuff right here. For me, it's very normal now to jump on a jet from Bucharest, where I live in Romania. I'll go to Monaco, that's 30, 40 grand. We'll go stay in a hotel, which is 5 grand a night. We'll go out for dinner, 3 or 4 of us, that costs 15, 20 grand. We'll have a business meeting, and I'll jet home. I'll spend £250,000 in a weekend to go to a meeting. and I'm not the only one doing it. There's 30 other guys there doing the same thing. Like, I don't think people who are working normal jobs understand that there are people out here making such ridiculous sums of money. And that would be the hardest thing for me if I ever had to get plugged back into the matrix and work for 30 grand a year. Is not the wage, just knowing how badly I'm being wrecked.
Yeah.
I'd be like, knowing how much I'm being screwed would just upset me. But yeah, it's going to get harder and harder. It's not going to get any easier. The government has no power to legislate money into the hands of the poor. They can take more money off the rich, or they can attempt to. We can talk about that in a second, because they really can't. But they can attempt to take more money from the rich. But throughout the bureaucracy and the way the machine works and the corruption inside of every government, by the time let's say they take 100 million, let's make it easy numbers, maybe 30 million of it might end up kind of somewhere a little bit. And then we have the same problem we discussed earlier. The poor people just spend it, goes back to the rich people.
Yeah.
Like it's just the way the whole system's set up. The average people come to me and say, what do I do? I'm just the average guy. And my only answer is stop being the average guy. That's my only answer. You can't just be the average guy anymore. The idea from the 1950s that you can just be the normal, average, law-abiding, hard-working citizen and you'll have a good life is gone. Any man out here who goes, I'm just going to work hard, do my bit, and obey the laws, and I'll have a good life. No, you won't. No, you will not. Just doing your job is never going to make you rich, because you're just going to be taxed into infinity and you're going to stay broke. So just obeying laws and doing your job now has set you up to be a peon and a slave for eternity. You have to get yourself in a position where you're making enough money that, I'm not saying laws can be broken, but there certainly can be bent. I mean, I think you know this with accountancy and the way that tax laws work. You get to a certain level where it's like, okay, yeah, we can just put that one to the side. We can twist that one around.
Arnold Schwarzenegger says, break the rules, but don't break the law.
Completely, yeah, and that's basically it, right? So you get to a certain level, and that's where it's really interesting, because the average peon, their answer to all this is, we need to tax the rich, because they don't understand how money works, and they don't understand how the world works, and they think that rich people are out here working some kind of job that you can tax. How do you tax a rich guy? How do you tax a rich man? Firstly, I'm going to tell you something about myself and most rich people. We don't own anything. I don't own anything. I don't own anything. There may be a trust fund in Ecuador that owns a company in Singapore that might own a yacht that I can borrow, for example. But I don't own shit. So that's the first thing. The second thing, you have all these different jurisdictions around the world. It's extremely complicated. How are you going to tax a rich guy? He has houses here, houses there, company here, company there, all the companies making a loss. Does Starbucks pay tax? No, Starbucks supposedly doesn't make money. Supposedly Uber's never made profit. An app on the phone with millions of cars around the world and people working endless hours for them and them getting a cut of it to run an app. Supposedly they've never made profit, never paid a penny tax. Funny how that works. You can't tax the rich. It's too complicated. You can't tax the rich. It doesn't work. All you're going to do is just drive them into other countries. If England right now today were to announce a huge tax on the rich people would just go, oh, cool. I'll base my company out of Belize. A few pieces of paper, fuck you.
I mean, can I push back a little bit on that point? Is that okay?
Sure.
I mean, you say rich don't own anything. I don't know it. I know quite a few billionaires. Yeah. I don't know any billionaires that don't own stuff. All of my friends who are billionaires own a lot of stuff, myself included. Land, properties, businesses.
And that's an interesting way to look at it. So when I say don't own anything, I mean, I don't want to work on a public podcast here. I guess it depends on your ethos towards business. The problem with owning something is that it can be taken from you. So let's look at it the American way. In America, litigation is a big problem. Everyone gets sued all the time. So you don't want to own anything, because if you get sued, then you're going to have to pay that debt. And you might have to sell your assets to pay that debt.
Not if it's in a company, though. If it's in a limited company.
Correct. This is the point. So people don't own anything themselves.
Okay, so they only through their company.
It's a limited company owns it. A trust owns it.
Exactly.
So you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look at the Panama Papers.
Yeah.
Look at it, and then it gets really complicated. And this is what I'm saying, where the average Joe Schmo at home has no idea how this stuff works. Yeah. Because let's look at Nike, for example. Nike doesn't pay any tax. Why does Nike not pay tax? Well, I'll give you a very simple version. They have two companies. One set up in Belize with a 1% tax rate. One set up in Europe. The one set up in Europe sells Nike trainers, pays all the staff, pays the stores, sells all the shoes, makes all the money, blah, 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 makes millions and millions and millions in profit. The one in Belize owns the trademark. So after 100 million, 200 million, whatever it is, comes into the European company. The European company has a debt to Belize to use the trademark of all the profit. Isn't that coincidental?
Yeah, right.
That goes to Belize. Then Belize government comes along and goes, give us 1%. Nothing. Boom, boom, done. Tax paid. It's all a scam. It's all a lie. It's all a scam. The person who get fucked, it's always the same. It's the guy in the middle.
Yeah.
The guy in the middle is going to get wrecked. It makes me laugh when they talk about, we're going to increase taxes, da-da-da. When they talk about increases taxes, they're not trying to chase down the billionaire on his yacht, because they can't. They're trying to chase down the guy with an address, who can't move, can't leave, he has a mortgage debt, 2 kids and a dog, living somewhere in Sunderland, and he's stuck there. There's a cost-benefit analysis and there's a risk return on every action that we take as humans. If I was in charge of a tax authority, I'd sit there and go, okay, we have all these millionaires and they're all on jets and they're everywhere and they have 7 passports and these complicated corporate structures, and this is going to take years to penetrate. We need money now. Who can we get now? Oh, we'll get him. Some dude. Turn up, you owe us money. How much? 50. I don't have 50 grand, I'll pay you 10. Cool, thanks. Because he can't resist it. The guy in the middle can't resist. And this is why I'm saying about having things in your name. When you have things in your name, you're in trouble, because if you say no to that tax bill, what do they take? Your house, your car. They just take your shit. So that's why, I mean, I don't know about your structure, and obviously we can't talk on an open podcast, but the richest people I know don't own anything. They don't own anything.
Yeah, their companies will.
Well, but it can get even more advanced than that, because companies can then still be litigated, but trusts can't.
Let me ask you a question then. What are you buying? What are you investing in right now? And you don't have to go into details. I know we're on a public podcast, but what sort of stuff are you making a lot of money, clearly? Where are you dumping that besides supercars?
Yeah, supercars are just, I need to stop. I have 28 supercars now. It's got to a level of ridiculous now where all the car brands just text me, hey, new Lamborghini's coming. What color do you want? I'm like, black. And I just buy. I don't even know what they look like. I just buy them.
But I think it's an important question, because there are going to be people watching this that are making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs, business owners, making a lot of money. And they're thinking, look, I got this money. Where do I dump it? Where do I put it?
Yeah, but there's money and there's money, right? So it's different, because making 100 grand a week or 100 grand a month is very different than making, let's say, $1 or $2 million a week or 300-400 grand a day. It all depends. But yeah, that's the biggest problem. The actual genuine problem with the world now is trying to find a place to put it, especially with inflation as rampant as it is.
Yeah.
Inflation, I think they tell us it's 9 or 10%. If you believe that, you're an absolute idiot. It's much higher than that. British pound's getting wrecked. Pound is getting wrecked.
Yeah.
So like energy prices are going to go to the moon. On top of that, the currency's inflating, so we're just printing it because we have to try and fix these problems. And it's difficult. Where do you put it?
And that's my concern.
And you can put it into hard assets, but then hard assets come with a new problem, because my personal view is that I wanted to be rich, and then I got rich. And then I realized what I actually wanted was to be free. And they're different things. There's a lot of people who are rich, but they're not free.
Yeah.
They can't say the things I'm saying on a podcast. They can't tell a government to get fucked like I can. If I were to just buy a bunch of houses in England and continue talking like I'm talking on a long enough time scale, they're going to take them. This is the thing. You don't own houses. That's the reason I'm not a big real estate guy. People say, oh, I own my house. Oh, you own it. Let's talk about your owning that house. Go out and park somewhere. Get a parking ticket. Don't pay it. Okay, so they add more money. Don't pay it again. Give you a court date. Don't go. They send a bailiff. Don't pay him. On a long enough time scale, may take a year, may take 2, may take 3, sooner or later, they're going to come with a big enough piece of paper and a big enough bailiff, and they're going to take your fucking house. They're going to say, you owe us this money. This is your asset. Give us your asset. You don't own it if they can take it from you anytime they want. And that's what they'll do. A judge will get a new piece of paper, stamp a new piece of paper, and they'll take it. Because the governments have a monopoly on violence. And that's the true underpinning of the world. The true underpinning of the world is violence. We live in a world now, which is a society which is based on violence from the absolute ground up. Not many people look at that and understand that, and the government are the only people who are allowed to be violent, and that's why they can get away with whatever they want. But everything is violence. There's a threat of violence within everything. The reason a police officer can give you a fine and you don't tell him to piss off is because you don't want him to be violent with you. That's it. He always has that in his back pocket. They've always got violence in their back pocket. That's what the government has. So to sit and go, I trust the government, I'm going to buy this nice big house, I just think that's to a degree. Yeah, you can make money. And yeah, everything's fine as long as you follow the rules. I'm not saying it's not. But in my situation, in my worldview, it's like I don't like having someone having that kind of control over me. So to answer your question, sorry, because I'm trying to be a professional. So real estate's difficult. The currency markets are trash. Stock market's about to go down to fucking zero. It's hard. Like, it is difficult to sit there with hundreds of millions of dollars and go, what do I do with it? Where does it go? It's hard. And I found some solutions, which I can't say on the podcast, but it's difficult.
I mean, I'm gonna have to come back to the real estate thing in a second.
Sure.
Because of course I want to defend real estate.
Absolutely.
So what are you buying, bro? Just a hint. I know you can't go into detail, but like, is it Forex? Is it crypto? Is it business?
Yeah, you have to diversify. You diversify, and then you look for emerging markets.
Right.
And truly, what I'm doing now at my stage of my life is buying power. So I thought I wanted to be rich. I didn't want to be rich. I wanted to be free. You're only free with power. And in the American political system is a perfect example of lobbyists and lobbying.
Yeah.
So they will lobby for things. They'll come along and say, I'll give you an example. Why are there no high-speed trains in America? America's huge and rich. High-speed trains would be fantastic for America, but the rail network is basically non-existent. The reason is because the oil companies lobby both political parties to make sure that they don't build trains, everyone drives. Long highways is good, sells a lot of gasoline. That's what they want. So once you get to a certain level of money, you realize you want political friends. So you're like, okay, I want this law, or I want this law to work this way. Or I just want someone I can call if this happens to me. And you just start giving a lot of money away, effectively. And you're trying to buy power, and that's the way it's always worked. That's what these huge corporations and companies do. Why do you think they're paying 0% tax? You think we could come for them if we really wanted to, but we won't, because the whole system is so rigged. We can talk about this forever, but people don't understand the whole system is so entirely rigged. You and me are both going to run for a position. We're going to both run for, let's say, the mayor of nowhere town, some imaginary place. I've sold my soul to the devil and you haven't. So you're an honest man and you want to make the companies pay tax. I don't give a shit, I just want power. So the companies give me money. So one, I get a nicer campaign trail. Two, the companies also own all the media, so they lie about you, tell the world you're evil, like they just lied about me. They lie about you, tell all the horrible things they can, say I'm a good person. They fuck with your bank accounts, mess with you, lie with you in the media. You're trying to run your campaign. I'm fully funded. The media's on my side. Tour bus, posters, da-da-da. Who's going to win? I win. And then what do I do in return for the company who I sold my soul to? Don't worry about tax. Don't worry about it. We'll just tax that dude in Sunderland. He'll pay the tax. Don't worry about it. It's a scam. It's all a lie. Whole system's a lie, all of it from head to toe. Every single thing is a lie. And I think a lot of the reason average people don't know this or pretend they don't know this is because by pretending to be ignorant, they can sleep at night. Because if they truly understood it, they'd be like, I'm in the matrix. My whole existence is a waste of time.
Yeah. No, I think the thing is, Andrew, you are a straight talker, right? And that's one of the things I think so many people love about you. You say it absolutely as it is. And my fear is, if you say, real estate's dangerous, this is dangerous, people will not know what to do and they'll end up doing nothing, leaving their money in the bank.
That's true.
Help us out.
Okay, that's true.
Help us out.
When I say real estate is dangerous, now firstly, you can make money with real estate. You can make money with real estate. I'm not saying it's dangerous from that perspective. I'm talking about my own personal ideology. Yeah. My personal ideology is I don't want to be within control of a government. I don't want a government to control me. If I didn't think that way, then I'd be a lot less opposed to real estate. I mean, a house is always going to be worth something. It ain't going to go to zero. You know, it's not like a risk like a crypto or a stock that can go to zero. A house will always be worth something, and you can definitely make a lot of money in it. I'm just at the position where I just don't want to have a government to have control over me. And this recent war proved it. Look at all these billionaire Russians who fair and square bought property in London by the law, paid their price, paid the stamp duty, stuck to the rules. Then the president of their country did something they may not have even agreed with it. Who do they know? Do you agree with everything the prime minister does now?
No.
Neither do I. And then the British government came along and just took all their houses off them.
Here's my stance. If you have gold, silver, anything, especially money in the bank, it can, if you go down the extreme levels enough, it can get taken.
Well, that's true.
Nothing on this earth is freehold. Everything is leasehold.
To a degree, there are certain things which can't be taken.
Like, you won't give us one example though, so it's hard to...
There are some things that can't be taken.
Okay, but I think that property is one of the hardest things for anybody to take. You can make I make a lot of money in property without owning it as well. Yeah. By controlling it.
Absolutely.
And also being a property entrepreneur.
I can't say you don't make money in real estate. And I'm also not saying I don't own any.
You do own property.
Of course I do. But I'm just saying that I don't feel comfortable. I don't go, bought another house. Yes, let me sleep easy. Some guys do. But I think when you truly understand...
I mean, you know what I'm doing right now, flipping land and all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, a few years ago, many people said to me, real estate's risky. I've made millions in real estate.
I bet you have.
It's all I know.
I bet you have.
And through controlling it, flipping it,
Yep.
trading it, owning it.
Completely.
And my properties are, a lot are in my personal name. I've
Yep.
got a lot in company as well now.
Yep.
I think I'm in a pretty safe position. Now, if it gets so bad that they take away everybody's property and the world has ended and there's this massive plague and everybody's dead, you know what? I lived a pretty good life.
No, completely. And I understand a lot of people will see me as paranoid, and that's fine. But I know you can make a whole bunch of money, but the last thing I'm currently in a situation where I don't need money. So I'm just trying to position myself in a way that I sleep the best as possible.
Yeah.
And I don't feel happy with money in the bank either. I don't.
That's the worst.
Not because of even inflation. Like if I load up my bank balance and it's $87 million, that doesn't make me feel comfortable. It makes me feel the opposite.
Right.
Because the one day you click on the app, sorry, contact customer service. You're like, you fuckers.
Yeah.
You fucking, like, that's it. They'll just do that shit to you. So it's like, I don't like money in my banks. I don't like money in a house. It's hard. I know it's hard.
You're
it's
only
difficult.
insured up to the first £86,000. So if you've got a couple mil and then the bank goes bust, gone.
It's clown world. But I think there's a lot that can be done. Like, I'll give away one of the things I like to do. Just one. So personally, I prefer the idea of digital real estate. Because digital real estate is not controlled by one government jurisdiction, and it can be owned by some obscure entity. So let me give you an example. Let's say I were to buy www.money.com. That's worth money. If I could put anything on there and generate money, so that's worth money. I'd pay a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
And let's say that was owned by a Singaporean trust. Boom.
Yeah.
I feel safer with that than a house.
Okay. No, that's interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because now if anyone wants to find out who owns money.com, even though I've just said it here on this podcast, they're like, look it up, some Singaporean trust. Okay, contact the Singapore authorities. Who owns this trust? We can't tell you. Court injunction. Years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
It's complicated, and I feel like I own it more than a house.
See, it's interesting. And my attitude is you've got to invest in what you know.
Yeah.
If you've made a lot of money, you should invest in what you know.
Oh, completely.
I don't invest in certain stuff if I don't understand it.
Completely.
And even if people tell me this is a great investment, this is a great coin, I'm thinking, I'm all good, thanks. Because I want to invest in what I understand. And if you understand digital assets, I mean, for me personally, I think owning a website or a link, for me, would feel more risky because I can just see any minute, bang, can't open it. I'd rather own land where even if there's a war and the house gets knocked down, I've still got the land. There's a shortage of land.
I understand.
You know,
I understand.
But
and there's so many ways to skin a cat. And that's what's so beautiful about making money, right? And I completely understand that. My block is ideological. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I know that a lot of money can be made. However, let me give a caveat to that.
Oh, here we go.
I do think that most of the ways money is made on the planet, nearly all of them are Ponzi schemes. I think stocks are a Ponzi scheme. And when I say Ponzi, I mean that if you're in early, you make a bunch of money. And if you're in late, you get wrecked. Money doesn't come from the thin air. Money doesn't come from the sky. So let's look at crypto, right? A lot of people ask me about crypto. Hey, what do you think about this coin? What do you think about this coin? Most people don't understand that the crypto market is player versus player. And it's funny because these new crypto coins launch and they start these Telegram groups, these communities. And all the people who have bought the coin are in this community and they're all like acting like they're friends. You're not friends.
Yeah.
If you bought it at $1 and you want to sell it at a profit of $10, someone has to buy it off you. So it doesn't just come from the sky. You're selling it for more than you bought it for, right? So a bunch of people get in, money comes in, price goes up and up and up and up and up and up. There's always going to be a guy who bought the top.
Yeah.
And it never goes up anymore.
Yeah.
And he gets screwed. There's X amount of people at the top who get wrecked so the people at the bottom can make money.
Yeah.
It's a Ponzi. Every crypto is a Ponzi, all of them. I could go get $100 million right now, go to England, walk around, and make a bunch of money in real estate. Because I got liquid cash. It ain't that. I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that. I've got all the time in the world. It might take me 9 years. That'll go up.
Yeah.
That'll go up. That'll go up. I could do it. But there's also Bob and Sally working their ass off, 22-year mortgage, 10% interest rate, slugging it. When we own our home, Sally, then we'll be okay.
Don't get me wrong. I think that property is something that can be bad. I think that buying your own home, I think that the Help to Buy scheme is a scam. Because I'm a developer.
Okay.
So I build houses.
Yep.
And the Help to Buy scheme is not Help to Buy, it's Help to Sell.
Yeah.
Because basically the people that are getting bought into the Help to Buy, the government are loaning them the money, they have to pay it back.
Yep.
It's only applicable to a new build.
Yep.
It's only applicable if you live in it.
Yep.
So it's really to encourage the developers
to buy,
to build
yeah,
and flog off their stock at an expensive price.
Yep.
And then the people that are buying it, the second that they buy it, it drops in value because it's a new build.
100%.
They've got to live in it. They're in negative equity. They're finished.
Yep.
So the Help to Buy scheme, I guess, is a way of investing in property, or not even investing, but a way of buying property. I don't think you should do that. I think that before you buy your own home to live in, I do own my own home,
Yep.
but I only bought it last year after making millions.
Yep.
So I think before you buy your own home, if you're ever going to, become a millionaire first.
Oh no, completely. There's so much to say for renting, because when you rent, you have flexibility.
Yeah, true.
I think that flexibility, if we're talking about the attention economy, and we're now living in a world where things are changing so rapidly. Think of how different the world was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
10 years ago, we had Motorola Razrs, couldn't even do a video on our phones. Now we can film
Yeah.
Hollywood movies.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy how fast the world's changing. If you're gonna say, for 22 years, I'm gonna live at this address, you're a dummy. Because you might get an opportunity in Japan. Who knows, right? Yeah. You're a dummy to do that. So I agree. I own the house I live in. No, sorry, I don't. An entity in a company, blah, blah, owns the house I live in. That was a cash. And that's only because I wanted it the way I wanted it. I want to renovate all this. I want bulletproof glass. Okay, just buy it.
Yeah.
That's why I did it. But in general, yeah, you should renting allows you flexibility.
Yeah.
And flexibility is very important in the modern world.
To get rich.
To get rich, you might need to have to go here, go there. You might need a month over there. You might want to go do something in Ireland for 2 months. And then also another thing about renting, especially in the Western economy, I know I shouldn't say this, and this is probably going to piss off your guys, but it's true. There's really very little downside to renting, because even if you don't pay your rent, they can't make you leave. Like, it's fucking clown world over here. Like, oh, you're renting 3 months, you don't even pay your rent, and you're still fucking sleeping fine.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is like, rent is fantastic. I would only recommend renting, unless you get to the point like you, where you have so much money, you just buy it.
That's why our tenants are guests, not tenants.
Good, I like that.
So they don't have the same...
Yeah. Well, I live in Romania, so we have my tenants, because I do have tenants, we have a slightly different system in Romania. You're an hour late, bro. You better pack or pay. But
you know what though? They make it really strict to try and help the tenants. But what actually happens is the landlords become really no. The landlords become really strict with the vetting process.
Yeah, of course.
Ask for big deposits.
Yep.
My sister's trying to rent somewhere. She's a single mom, and the letting agent said we don't rent to single moms.
Yep.
Right. So what's happening is it's actually hurting the tenants.
Of course, yeah.
So it's all the things that the government do to try and help the poor often end up hurting the poor.
What did we say earlier about trying to give money out? The government is not capable of helping the poor. And this is why it's so important as a person, you take personal responsibility and understand you're living in a world where the matrix can be cracked. You can make a bunch of money, but you need to take responsibility and do it. I will sit here and say right now on this podcast that I have hundreds of millions of dollars. And if you go to cobratate.com, my website, cobratate.com, you can sign up for a free email. I have an email list, and I'll send an email a day for free that will teach you how to make money. I can say that here, and of the 100,000 people who watch it, 5,000 might sign up. 95,000 will sit there drooling, and they'll just ignore me, not sign up, and then 2 minutes later going, bro, it's so hard out here to make money. Just dumbasses. Like, you're not even trying.
Yeah.
You're not trying.
Right.
You're like, what we were saying earlier about player versus player is absolutely not really true. If it's player versus player, and you're competing against everybody else, because you're competing up against everybody else all the time, and you want to also, on top of that, be low energy and lethargic and lazy, well, then you just don't stand a chance. You're get wrecked. There are people out here who are prepared to work their ass off.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to be that guy, then you're going to fucking lose. But nearly all the ways to make money, I was saying a little bit earlier, are Ponzi schemes to a degree. And that's what's kind of interesting about it. It's unfortunate that certain people in nearly any industry or any money generating avenue are always going to get wrecked. And that's just kind of how it works. And that's the way the whole system and the whole world works. I mean, even me, man, like, I made a bunch of money on the Russian ruble. When I saw the way the war was going, I'm $30-40 million I made. I knew the ruble was going to go up. That's an all-time high now. But that takes perspicacity. This is also comes into network. The average person is not sitting around having conversations about the war in Ukraine and the Russian ruble and the financial impact of the war. Me and my team and my network, we're different. Like, most people see the news. They watch the news. Okay, yeah, okay. Anyway, me and my team, we're watching the news. Okay, how can that make us money? How can that make me money? How can that make me money?
Right.
And it's a different attitude. I'm having endless conversations about the financial impacts of the war in Ukraine and whether we think that Russia's going to win or lose. And now the Russian ruble is at an all-time high. The Russian economy is stronger than it's ever been. After crashing at the height of the sanctions, when they took away the sovereign wealth fund, of Russia, which is fucking criminal anyway. They did that. It dumped down, and now it's higher than it's ever been. On a currency to get a 3x.
Yeah.
It's nearly unheard of. People don't talk about these things. I'd say this another thing. I say to people who ask me, they go, Andrew, how do I get rich? And I say, okay, well, you're probably not gonna get rich because I bet you're lazy, but let's say you're not lazy. The number one habit that people need to adopt, and this is a habit I had for a very long time, and I've actually recently cleared it from my brain because I've reached a point where peace of mind is worth more than money. But every single time money is spent, you need to identify how your money was taken from you. And I say taken because money can't be made. Money is taken. Because the only people who can make money are the governments. If you're a government, you can make money. You can print it from thin air or a bank. But if you're a person, you're not making money. You're convincing other people to give it to you. You're taking money from others. So every single time you spend money on anything, you need to identify how it was taken from you. When you go and buy a coffee, don't just go buy the coffee and sit down. Sit and say, why did I buy this coffee? Okay, I really wanted coffee. Yeah. But then why did I go into this store and not that store? Is it better advertising? Does it have less of a line? Do they have seating? How did they convince me to come in here? How much did this coffee cost? £6. What's the profit margin on that? Probably £5.50, £5.80 probably by the time. The cup probably costs more than the coffee. The coffee is just water. How did they convince me to spend £6 in this place? And when you sit there and analyze and you all start to learn little lessons about business, you'll learn about the importance of the signage. You'll learn about the importance of there being no queue.
Yeah.
So that if you ever run a business, I'm telling you, I say with my business, my people all the time, faster. All the time, quicker.
Yeah.
Like I have a couple businesses